Welcome to the Ascend Your Success podcast. Whether you're just starting out or are a veteran looking to grow your business, you're in the right place. Join us to learn how to achieve financial freedom while working and living life on your own terms. Hear valuable insights, strategies, and interviews with successful entrepreneurs. Get ready to achieve the success you've always dreamed of. Ready? Let's go.
And this is the Ascend Your Success podcast. And today I get to interview my friend Nick, who is the man behind Lead Mining Pros. And he's going to talk to us today about how to get more leads without doing all that work as far as cold calling and texting and everything like that yourself. So Nick, thanks so much for being on, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started.
Yeah, no, I sure will, dude. Sure will. I'm a pretty lucky guy. I always like to start by saying, and this will probably inspire a couple of people watching, but Steve Jobs has a famous quote, and that is, "You can only connect the dots looking backwards," right? When you're in the mess, all you see is mess, right? Only when you're at the top of the mountain can you be like, "Damn, I see why my 20 suck so bad, because they were supposed to suck bad. Oh, I see why I hated that job so much." And my story is exactly like that. While I was going through life, I've always had a good attitude, but it's always been a little bit painful. I haven't always had privilege. I had to give it to myself. So, I started off as a restaurant manager for 13 years. So 17 years old to 30 years old, I was working 70 hours a week. I was I started making $24,000 a year, working 60 hours a week. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, very lucky. Then I ended my 13-year career at $65,000 a year for 70 hours a week. Okay. And that still sucks, right? It still does, but I loved it so much. It kept me so engaged. And I didn't realize at the time it was making me a badass leader, right? Restaurants are unique because you're not just, every manager is technically the CEO, but you're also human resources. You're the marketing department, you're quality assurance. There's not divisions. Every restaurant manager runs the whole restaurant, right? So I didn't realize at the time that I was getting this like insanely worldly experience, meanwhile, while working way too much. So that's where I started restaurants, really taught me how people and money and emotional intelligent customer experience, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then when I left there, I got a job at a real estate education company that taught people how to invest in real estate. Now, this one was really the big one, right? This is the one that blew my mind. I'll never forget the first phone call I took, very first phone call of a customer. He says, "Oh man, I was just calling to tell you guys I made $70,000 on my first real estate deal." And you know what I said to him? I said, "Did you," because I couldn't help myself. I said, "Did you know I worked 70 hours a week for 52 weeks last year to make $70,000? And he was like, "Holy shit." And I was like, but it showed me I was in the right place.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, right? Flipping $10 hamburgers ain't going to make anybody rich, And so having that first talk, I knew I was in the right place. Then at that same education company, I became an executive. I became the executive that oversaw their entire mentorship department. So naturally, all the complaints of all the clients of it, because I'm the boss, right? Of course, they're coming to us. So they just start coming to me, and I realized that the number one complaint was lead gen. Number one complaint. And a lot of people were doing direct mail. Well, the downside, and direct mail is good. I'm not a direct mail hater, but direct mail is an expensive cost per lead.
Right.
That's what's important there. So when the direct mail has the expensive cost per lead, if you're new, you don't want to learn on a $500 lead. Well, I only got enough money for 3 of those. Then I'm broke. And so our customers quickly let us know that, after paying for the program and then spending $5,000 on direct mail, that it felt like a risk to them. So, and that's basically how lead mining was born. We ended up, I remember a customer called me up one day crying, and she said, "Nick, I just bought the program and I just spent my last $3,000 on direct mail and the phone didn't even ring once." And I was like, man, there's got to be a better way for these people. Like, it can't. And literally, I'm on the phone and I'm like, well, this is free. We're already paying for this thing. So I started teaching everybody to dial by hand at that company.
Oh
Every
wow.
single person. It's like, hey, it's free. You don't got the money. You don't got money for direct mail. There you go. There you go. And that was really, I didn't know at the time, but that was the start of lead mining. So then when that job came to an end, I went home and I saw it be successful for the students. They're closing deals. They're putting in the work, but they're closing the deals. So when it came time for me to level up my life, I was like, well, I'm a cold call. That's what I'm gonna do. And I start cold calling every day, 300 to 600 people per day. And at the end of those 3 months, I didn't realize it at the time, but I had people calling me. So what I was doing, when I was cold calling, I was going live on Facebook. That
Mm.
was the way I held myself accountable to doing it every day. Like if I don't hold myself accountable, I won't do it. Right. So I was like, I'm gonna go live on Facebook. I'm gonna tell my audience how to find me and I'm gonna do this. Well, at the end of those 3 months, I had fans watching me cold calling and they were like, can we just pay you? Can I just pay you? It wasn't the purpose at all. I was like, well, I might as well make some money while I'm trying to make some money, right? And that was 7.5 years ago. And
Dude,
that
that's
was the start of my business. So now I own lead mining. We're going to do over $1.7 million in sales this year, which is just amazing. And it's really kind of grown into this big, beautiful thing.
wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. There's a lot to dive into right there because, like you, I started in the restaurant business. My family owned a
Oh,
barbecue place, and that's where I learned how to talk to people. I go to restaurants now, and it seems like people are so rude a lot of the times. But one thing, if anything, that I learned working at a restaurant, especially one owned by my family, is you keep a smile on your face at all time, and you are very respectful to the customers, no matter what, right? And so I think
yeah.
that's where I learned a lot of how to deal with people too. Not just lose it. So, and then similar to you, my first job was $9 an hour, right? And I worked my way all the way up for I think 5 years to making around 70 grand. And it's just so amazing when you hit your yearly income at a W two 1 month in real
Yeah.
estate in
Yeah.
1 month. It's a life
It's a
changing
life changing. Yeah.
thing, man. It's crazy. So,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So, let's dive into lead mining pros, man. Tell us a little bit about it. How do we get started working with you? What does it even look like behind the scenes working with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the company I own, leadminingpros.com, what we are basically is a turnkey lead generation company, right? And what that means is just like if you were to buy a turnkey property, it comes with a property manager, everything's all right. You just buy it and you set it and forget it. And that's kind of, actually, I should write that, set it and forget it lead gen. But that's kind of what we do. All you guys have to do is if you go to the website, you'll see we have a pricing tab at the top. Inside of that pricing tab, you'll see all of our products. So our most popular one is what I call all-inclusive lead gen, and that's where we pull a list, we skip trace it, we cold call it, and we text message it. We do all that for you. All you have to do is tell us where, right? Counties, equity amounts, zip codes, property value ranges, right? All that good stuff. And then we get the ball up and running. Now our campaigns also come in 4 different sizes. Everyone is always like, you do so much, it's got to be so expensive. I'm like, that's the best part. My packages start at $550 and go up to 7,000. And the only I like to explain to people, the only difference is size. It's not like you get better cold callers when you spend seven. It's not like you get a ninja script that we dust off and give you, right? So, and I think that that's really cool. There's not a lot of companies out there where the $500 customer gets the same exact thing as the $7,000 customer does, which is something cool, that we offer. Then what we do, we pull that list, we skip trace it. Now, our skip tracing is really accurate. We get the right person on the phone over 85% of the time, and we can actually prove it to you because we track it on each campaign individually. So even on, I know you've been using us, Wyatt, even on your campaigns, I can pull up your accuracy rate for you specifically and show you, which is really cool because
That's
that means a lot to us, right? If we're not getting the right person on the phone, That's how we gauge the success, right, of a campaign too. Um, then after that, we offer American cold callers. And I know some people, when they say that, they mean South American and stuff like that, or expatriates. I'm not knocking those guys, but all of my employees are guaranteed to live in the United States. Okay. And
Mm.
I think that's a very big deal, especially for cold calling. And a lot of people say, well, what about accents? Now, of course, these are Americans. My guys don't have accents. However, the accent isn't what hurts you with the Filipino or an Egyptian caller. That's really not what hurts you. What hurts you is they really don't understand the words that are coming out of their mouth. That's
Right.
what hurts you. They're just reading the script. So, one thing I always do to compare Americans to foreign is foreign will read the question. No doubt. They'll read the question. They'll write down the answer. But in Americans, think of them as like almost like an Olympian, right? They're going to adapt. They're going to use tone. They're going to listen. They know what the person says. They can like rebuttal stronger. So the other perk it does is it starts off the seller with positive rapport, right? And not rapport just from the call, but just it being an American, because every other person calling them, I can almost guarantee is probably Filipino, you
Right.
know. And we are one of the only, as far as I know, not one of, we are the only company that you can hire that offers real Americans too, which is super cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's awesome.
yeah,
I think if you, I done a video about this the other day. If you just pull that list, spend the money it takes to pull that list, skip trace that list, and either dial it yourself and pay yourself an hourly wage, however long that takes to get a deal, or even invest in an auto dialer. By the time you get all of that stuff done, you could have paid for even your lowest
yes.
subscription and got the same, if not more, value out of it and time.
Well, and that's another good marketing piece I don't touch on enough, but you're exactly right. List skip tracing and software, we haven't even done work yet. I guarantee you're at the price of my lowest value,
Right.
right? And then with mine, we put it Americans, we call and we text on top of it. And I think that I really like that. Because especially with inflation, I think dialers today are $200 a month. You know, Boom. You skip trace with batch. I think they're like 12 to 15 cents. If that's
Mhm.
1,000 records, that's $150. We're at 350. We have, and that doesn't even include the list yet or your time. And I think that not only do you hire us, but my average cold caller's been with me for 5.5 years. So you're not, and I mean this with respect, but they're going to be better at cold calling than you are too. So they're going to do the job cheaper, better, right?
Yep.
And the perk of that, what in my opinion, as a lead generator, the perk of that isn't, oh, we're better. It's that the best person showed up for the job for that list. I think as an investor, especially when our deals equal $20 to $50,000, we want to know that whatever we approach, we put our best foot forward.
Yeah.
And then doing that, if you hired foreign callers, you could be like, well, maybe I should have Americans call them after that. You didn't put your best foot forward. So it's like, maybe I could have done more. I think one of the cool things with us is it's almost like no regrets marketing. You know that you put the best person in with great training on the phone too.
100%, man. I'll say this. When we first met, I wanted to test you out, see how things were going. I've done a couple of small marketing campaigns, but the very first one I did, and I don't want to say this and get everybody's like
Too
unrealistic
excited.
expectations, right? But the first month on the first campaign, I think it was like $550 or 560, and I got 20 leads off of that first campaign, which is insane.
Insane.
And then I got one closed deal, which was around 15 grand assignment.
Wow.
And I'm gonna do a case study over that, and
Awesome.
I'll definitely share it with you so you can share it with people. We may get back on and do a case
Yeah,
study video about it.
breakdown. Yeah.
So if you're listening and you want that, just DM me. I'll send it to you once I get it completed. But man, it's so important. It's not to just pull back from everything else you're doing. I always tell people like, don't stop what you're doing. Add marketing channels in. It's super, super important. So if I'm a newbie and I go to your website, I fill out the application to do whichever campaign I want. Can I hop on a phone call with like customer support or you or somebody to like look at my market and kind of tell me, because I'm brand new.
Right.
I don't know exactly which markets are going to do. Do you have KPIs to kind of talk through with people, or what does that look like?
So I address that question a couple ways. The first thing I have for everyone, and you can get it right now, you don't have to be a customer, is I offer free courses. Okay, so I have an onboarding course that's 35 minutes long, completely free. If you go to the website, there's a button that says freebies at the top. You can sign right up for that for my free courses. No catch, no upsells, nothing. Then I will tell you exactly how to pick the best market, whether you're in land or whether you're in houses. I'll tell you what lists are the best for those markets as well. Now, I'm a national company, so none of my advice is granular, right? Like, which zip codes should I work in? Now, I do give people advice like this, and I'll share some of those nuggets from the course, of course. I just want to let them know where to find an in-depth thing. First, if you're in a saturated market, what's a saturated market? A metro area. Okay, let's say you're in a metro area to start. I don't really like those to start for new people, right? And the main reason why is it's like starting in the big leagues. You know, if you were going to play basketball, Michael Jordan would not be your first opponent, right? So then if you're in Dallas, staying in Dallas really shouldn't be your first decision. Okay, that's just my take there. Now, where should I go? All right, well, great. Well, yeah, let's talk. So we have two options. One, and I have a training on this as well, but you could use ListSource to find which market has the least amount of transactions in them. So if you're in a super hot market and you do not want to leave, that's okay. But now let's go ahead and find the zip code with the least amount of transactions in your super hot market. Because if you are going to stay there, you need to stay away from all the saturation. Then the next advice, okay, you're okay with leaving the market, right? Yeah, actually, you know what, Nick? I'm not attached to Dallas. What do I care? I just want to make money. Great. I love those guys. Okay. I said, okay, so now what I recommend you do is find the area around Dallas, if you want to stay close, with the worst reputation. Okay. And I don't mean ghetto. All right. No, a lot of people go, oh, you mean like a war zone? Not really. Not really. If anything, I mean white trash. Okay.
Yeah.
Redneck stuff, right? Okay. You know, where I came from, where I grew up at, there was a big redneck population. I love those guys. They're very much like me. What the city I grew up in had more cows than people until I was like 20 years old. All right.
Right.
But those markets, these more rural markets, they exist around all areas of the world. So find that market. Find the market with the worst reputation. And again, I don't mean war zone. I mean like country or crappy houses or needs to be rebuilt or, oh, that's all trailers over there or, you know, whatever is like that, because that scares the average investor. Okay. But they're everywhere. And so when you find these little pockets of like rural, they're basically rural pockets is what they are. So if you have one of those nearby your area, I would start there again if you're down to going out of it. And if you're not committed anywhere around your metro area, the single best piece of advice I have for people is you want to invest in a market that nobody's ever heard of. Okay.
Right. Right.
You
Yeah.
know, and another way to put that is that I say is a place that nobody wants to visit. Okay.
Mhm.
And the reason why is let's just use Miami, for example. Okay. I bet if I looked it up right now, Miami has over 15 million tourists a year. Okay. Now, let's just say it's 1 million a year for easy math. Okay. Now, out of those millions, how many of those people are going to be wealthy? It's actually going to be quite a bit. I looked it up. Miami is the 5th richest city in the world, not the United States, in the world. Okay. So people traveling there, they're going to be having money. They're going to do this. Let's say 5% of those million people a year decide to buy a property there, right? Like think about all that flooded competition that just came into the market. Okay.
Mhm.
That's 50. If I do that math right, that's 50 4,000 competitors a year. Competitors, not including the current people already competing with you.
Right.
So when you choose a place that has a high attractive rate, what you accidentally do is you compete with the tourists. And you don't want to compete with the tourists because guess what? Tourists are the ones coming in offering too much on the property because they're not from around here. They're going in skewing up all the homeowners' idea. Well, this guy said it's worth this much. Well, he lives in Arkansas. Okay, he
Right.
has no idea what this property is worth. So, I also that's why I recommend going in places that aren't saturated, that aren't well known, that aren't illustrious to vacation in, because you don't want to additionally compete with that traffic. Now, I will say, if you're a seasoned investor, that's a different story. If you're prepared and you've got the budget and you've got the systems, I'm strict. You mentioned if you're new, right? So
Mm.
my advice is strictly if you're new, I want you to have the easiest jump shots there is. I don't want you struggling to get your first deal because you're competing with millionaires
Right.
to close deals. So this advice isn't general. It is for new people trying to get their foot in the door and get their first deal.
Yeah, yeah. I tell all of my students that just that are just getting started. Even a lot of my students have been with me for a while. Like the submarkets are where you're going to get your best deal.
That's
Like
right.
we're not hitting Nashville, Huntsville. Yes, we do get deals there, but we're not specifically primarily in those markets. We're in the surrounding cities and counties, the smaller cities, some of the lower income neighborhoods, kind of like what you were saying. Very, very important. I like how we align on that
Yeah.
because it's very important. People, I think they get taken sometimes, and like these local guys are telling them, "Oh, you got this is Huntsville's like the best market," and it is. It's a really great market, but guess what? They don't have thousands of dollars to spend, so it's like, what happens when they don't get a deal?
Well,
Sorry.
and not that anyone is out of integrity here, but if I'm a big real estate investor in a place where leads are expensive and you come to me and you're like, where should I go? I'd be like, right here, bro. And bring all your leads to me, by the way.
Right.
Okay? You go spend thousands of dollars and then you let me know. Right? Think like that, like that's not a knock. It just makes sense, right?
Right.
Isn't that, like what? So we also have to be paying close attention to, is someone giving us advice on their best interest or on my best interest?
Yeah.
And again, it's not wrong for them to say that. You might have a guaranteed buyer, right? They're probably right. It's probably a good connection. But if that lead costs you $2,000, $5,000 to
Mhm.
close, not get, but to like close on, then it can be discouraging. And the other point you made was the best deal. I think that's why I don't want anyone to get twisted.
Mhm.
The best deals are from people who aren't being called by 50 other people every day, right?
Right.
Because that great deal is going to go to an investor who's already calling. When you hit these outside markets, you end up, oh, who's this? I've never gotten a call like this before. Oh man, and then that's the great deal when they're completely untouched or they're off the beaten path too.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so we go to Lead Mining Pros website.
Yeah.
We fill out the information where we want. We book a call with you. We talk about where we want to be, what we want to do. Um, you know, Once we get started, what does that look like? How do I get leads? When do I know when I'm gonna get leads? Like, how quick do I get leads? What does that look like?
Yeah, no, I love that because people ask that a lot. How quickly do I get them? And I think it's because direct mail, we're so used to this delay with direct mail, right? We
Mhm.
pay, it takes 3 weeks to hit the mailbox. Then 4 days after it hits the mailbox, they might call, right? So there's like all this lag. I think one of the best things about us is this like instant gratification lead gen, right? Which you can probably speak to that. And
Oh yeah,
it's like, some guys like, when will I get my first lead? I'm like, oh, if we start tomorrow and we get a lead tomorrow, you get it tomorrow.
yeah,
And he's like, oh wow, really? And I was like, yeah, because they're used to that delay. So one of the best things about us is we can start within 24 to 48 hours. Often it's 24, but you got to say to 48 just to make sure you cover your bases.
right,
Um, and then if we get a lead, if we start tomorrow and get a lead tomorrow, you get the lead tomorrow.
yeah,
So you're going to get texting and calling leads ASAP, like right after your lead date starts. And that's also, you should be ready. So this is a twofer. Don't just be like, oh wow. No, you now be ready
Yeah.
because I can tell you what, leads to some people are like 1,000-pound weights, you
Hmm.
know? Oh, I want big muscles. Well, here's your weight. I don't want to lift it, you know? So also for you to be in the mindset that, wow, okay, I need to be on tomorrow, right? Summer's over once you hire us, you know, and that's a beautiful thing too, because we are going to put you to work. So one of the cool things about us is before you get leads, getting leads is your biggest problem.
Right.
After you hire me, you have a new biggest problem. And that's what the hell are you going to do once you get them?
Yeah.
Now,
Closing it.
closing it. And I
Just-
do offer free training in those courses I brought up earlier, in those same courses, that's only about my leads. It's not how to close deals after the contract, but I provide free training for everyone on exactly what to say and exactly what to do to follow up with these leads. Now, it's not, I know that you're creative finance, so it's not that side, but it's like, how quickly should I call them? What should I say when they first answer? Like some of those fundamental items, because that's the part I notice that some people get wrong. And that first sentence, hey, Bill, this isn't Bill, click. Oh, shit. Did I just waste $40? Yes, you did.
Right.
Yes, you did, because you said the name of it. I cover those kinds of little tips and tricks in the training I provide as well.
Yeah, man. That was something I was really impressed with was when I actually launched the campaign. They asked me how when I wanted to get started, and I said ASAP. And I think my first lead came in within 24 hours of that.
Wow.
There have been a couple of campaigns where they've come in about 48. Close in between those. So the leads come in quick. That's for
Yeah.
sure. And I like how when you guys get them, you're sending weekly reports, you're sending daily reports. I'm getting reports through text messages, reports through emails. It's very like trackable. Like I can track all my
Interactive.
numbers
Yeah.
just based off your email. I print your email if I'm doing it by hand or if I'm doing
Yep.
it on Excel, I just type it in. I mean, it's crazy how easy that you guys have made this, and it's very awesome. So one more thing that I'd like to add in there, we've made it even better. So if you use our code Ascend10, you'll get 10% more leads per subscription that you get. So
Yeah.
that's very, very
And
awesome,
that's
man.
also reusable for life too.
Yeah.
So, you know, you
Every
guys get a
campaign.
10 you just have to use that coupon code every time, Ascend 10, but every time you purchase. So if you really think about it, every 10 packages you get one free is a cool way to look at that.
That's sweet, man. That's
Yeah.
sweet. So, how can we're coming up on time now? Is there anything that you'd like to share that we didn't hit on, or anything like that before you tell us how people can get a hold of you?
You know, the one nugget I'll leave everybody with before we get to contact info is just, you know, this has been very apparent advice for me, right? And a lot of people, because this is in the course too, but I always reiterate this because every customer before I hang up the phone goes, Nick, what you got? Tell me the one thing that's just gonna like knock my socks off, right? And it's very simple. Don't badmouth the leads. You get a lead in, don't tell yourself it sucks. Don't tell yourself it's a shitty lead. And here's why. I'll give you a simple example. We've all been in a relationship before, right? If you start telling yourself that you hate certain things about that person, I hate that about them. I hate that. I hate it when they do that. You know, as soon as you run into them again, you got all this passive hatred built up. And say, you literally talked yourself into hating that person. And leads are the same exact way. So if you catch your mental self talk being negative towards leads, cut that shit out.
I like
Okay.
that. I like it.
Every lead tells a story. We need to pay attention to what that story is. Now, if you get no leads, be pissed. If you get low leads, be pissed. Not saying that. But if you get leads, do not tell yourself bad things about those leads. You will psych yourself out and you will ruin your chances or lessen them. And one last little thing is the guy that trained me on all this stuff was a former stockbroker. Okay. He was badass. And I think The Wolf of Wall Street just came out. So it was really funny. I was getting The Wolf of Wall Street and he was kind of training me. He was my first business partner. I love this attitude. Nick, he goes, read me the notes and fucking lie to me, is what he used to say. And the reason why he said that was he said, even if the notes are bad, Don't tell me that they're bad. Tell me how bad this person wants to sell their house. That's what I want to hear from you, Nick. And I love that. So read me the notes and lie to me. And it's like, because he didn't even want me, he knew the power of a poisoned mindset. You
Mm.
give me good vibes going into this call, period, and I'm going to get something good out of it. So that's the one nugget I got for you. And that doesn't just apply to me. Every lead you ever get for the rest of your life, don't negative self-talk it. You're just going to hurt yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And also marketing is a consistency game. Like so often, especially me working with new investors, I hear people say, "Well, I paid for this in this month and I didn't get a deal." And I'm like, well, of course, different
Right.
markets are different ways. You're not going to get 20 leads every
Right.
single market that you go
Right.
and first hit, right? Um, thank God I did, right? But it doesn't work like that. Some months
Right.
it may work like that, but you got to do the same thing every single month, collect data, and make changes every
Right.
few months instead of every month or every week because you're never going to have that consistency or that data to make those educated
That's
changes,
right.
right?
That's right. Even like, even if the leads all these leads are listed on the MLS. Great. That's a sign of a saturated market. If the only people that want to sell are people that already told a realtor they want to sell, that
Mm,
means that this market's being hit hard, right? And it's not a bad or a good, it's a pivot, Hey, great. Well, your next campaign, we should probably go to a different zip code if
right,
that's the case. And that's why, like, even if it is bad, I'm not saying all leads are great. That's not the argument. The argument is don't talk bad about them to yourself, right? Pay
right.
attention, like you said, adapt, and this is why another thing we didn't cover is I offer weekly one-on-ones to every client. So in those stats I send you on Friday, there's a link to book a Zoom call with me where my team will create a statistical report of everything that happened, and I actually explain it to you. And in that call, we can make changes, we can pivot. The other perk of us, if you pay the direct mail company $2,000 and call them in 2 days and say, I sent the wrong list, they're going to say, sorry about your luck. We already stamped it. They're on their way out. With our company, we can stop, pause, redirect, continue. So even if there is an obstacle, we can overcome it mid campaign through those one-on-one calls. And I think that that level of control and support is also one of our like secrets to success,
Yeah,
for our
I
clients.
completely agree. I completely agree, man. Well, tell us how we can get a hold of you,
Yeah.
and I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah, leadminingpros.com is the best way to do it. And my cell phone number is on the website as well. You guys can also book a call with me. Even if you're not going to buy, book a call. It's going to be a 20-minute call. I'll explain to you everything it is that we do. You can ask me questions. Also on the site, I spoke about freebies. I offer free courses and free group coaching every Tuesday from 2 to 3. You don't even have to purchase. I don't care. Just come on, plug in, hang out. Actually, Wyatt's going to be there in the next couple of weeks talking about creative financing as we introduce that to more of my clients as well. But those are the best ways to get a hold of me. I'm also very active on Facebook, which I can give you that link for whenever you publish this, that they can
Yeah,
follow me on there. But my cell's on the site. You can book a call with me on the website, and you can also order directly if you want to as well.
I love that, man. Well, thank you so much for being here and being a part,
Yeah,
sharing all of that value, man. There's so much value in what your product is and what you're putting out, man. It's so inspiring to see you doing all the free courses, everything you're doing it all yourself too. And so that's very awesome, man. When I call lead mining, I talk to Nick. That's the thing.
yes, you
So
do.
that's
Yeah.
awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening as well. If you've heard anything that you like, that you're interested in, maybe you want to talk about getting into real estate and getting your first deal done, go to ascendyoursuccess.com, fill out the application, and just like Nick, I'm gonna be there to look at it, and I'm gonna be the one talking to you. And we'd love to talk to you and get you into real estate and to financial freedom. And so, just thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, Wyatt.
Yeah, man.
Okay, brother.